Okay, now, if there is a new Passover lamb, a lamb slain to release us from our bondage, that means there's a new Exodus. Well, if there's a new Exodus, that means there's a new people of God in bondage to a new Pharaoh. Follow with me, guys. Please follow with me. Well, if there's a new Pharaoh, that means we're in a new Egypt. And if we've been released from that Pharaoh, that means there's a new wilderness that we are now currently sojourning. On our way to a new Jerusalem, a new Canaan, a new land of rest. Now, who is the new Pharaoh of this new Exodus, of the new people of God who've left this new Egypt, who are now in a new wilderness on their way to a new Jerusalem? Where is this new Jerusalem? In heaven. Galatians 4:26. There it says, there's a Jerusalem above, and Sarah is a type of that Jerusalem. Sarah is a symbol, a picture of that Jerusalem, because Sarah gave birth to the free son, Isaac, the child of promise. And so Sarah is a picture of heavenly Jerusalem, because heavenly Jerusalem is our mother, Paul says. And we belong to her, and her children are children of promise who are free, not children of bondage. Galatians 4:26. Jerusalem above, that's our mother. Revelation 21, verses 1 to 2, and verses 9-14, the Lamb's bride is said to be heavenly Jerusalem that comes down as a bride adorned for her husband to the earth. So the new Jerusalem is actually the ancient Jerusalem, the true Jerusalem of which the earthly one was a shadow. Heavenly Jerusalem, our mother, the bride of the Lamb, that will come down to earth when the Lord returns, and God the Father dwells with his Son by the Spirit on earth in visible glory with believers who will be perfected, who will never die and sin anymore in the new heavens, new earth. Revelation 21 and 22. Read it. I'm not making it up. I gave you the verses. So that's there. And in Hebrews 12, 22 to 24. Hebrews 12, 22 to 24. There we're told in Hebrews 12, 22 to 24 that you have now approached Mount Zion, heavenly Jerusalem, the city of God, where myriads of angels dwell, where God, the judge of all, dwells, to the assembly and the church of the firstborn who are enrolled in heaven, heavenly Jerusalem, to the spirits of just men made perfect, where? Heavenly Jerusalem, to Jesus Christ, the mediator of a new covenant, and to his blood that has been sprinkled and speaks a better word than the blood of Abel. Where? Heavenly Jerusalem. There's a heavenly Zion, heavenly Jerusalem. So far, are you with me, guys? So I've established there's a new Jerusalem, which is the ancient Jerusalem, the original Jerusalem, of which the earthly one is a shadow. That's the Jerusalem we're headed to. I've established you have a new Passover, Jesus Christ. That means there's a new Exodus. We are now leaving, departing from the land of bondage. Well, if there's a new Exodus, then there's a wilderness that we're currently sojourning. What is that wilderness? I'll get to that. But that means we left a new Egypt. What is that Egypt? And we escaped the tyranny of a new Pharaoh. What is that Pharaoh? Okay, now let's unpack it. Who is the Pharaoh of this Exodus? You guys ready? New Pharaoh, new Egypt, new wilderness. And by the way, if there's a new Exodus, there's a new covenant, right? Luke 22, 19 to 20, right? He says in verse 20, this cup is the new covenant in my blood. So there's a new covenant and there's a new lawgiver, right? Jesus gave us his law. Romans 8, verses 1 to 2, Galatians 6, verse 2, 1 Corinthians 9, 21, 1 Corinthians 9, 21, we obey the law of Christ, the law of the Spirit of life that has liberated us. Romans 8, 1 to 2, verse 2, Romans 8, 2, Galatians 6, 2, the law of Christ, the new covenant of Christ. So we have a new Moses, a lawgiver, Jesus, a new covenant, a new law, and a new Joshua, right? Remember yesterday? It was Joshua, whose name was changed from Hoshea to Joshua, who brought them into the promised land and defeats God's enemies on behalf of God's people. And Jesus' name is Joshua. So it's all there. Jesus is the new Moses. Jesus makes a new covenant. Jesus is the new lawgiver. Jesus is the new Joshua. You seeing it? Now, depending on your translations, you may not see it, which is sad. Depending on your translations, you may not see it, which is sad. But let me get the verses all lined up, okay? We're going to read more, but here you go. Let's see if you catch it. Ezekiel 29, verses 1 to 3. The King James will do you a favor. In the 10th year, in the 10th month, on the 12th day of the month, the word of Jehovah came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and prophesy against him and against all Egypt. Speak and say, Thus says the Lord Jehovah, Adonai Yehovah, Behold, I'm against you, O Pharaoh, king of Egypt, O great dragon. Now, your translation may say monster, but if you look at the Hebrew, tanin, it also means dragon, who lies in the midst of his rivers, who said, My river is my own, I have made it for myself. But wait. He's not only a dragon, but what kind of dragon is Pharaoh? Because in the Bible, you'll find references to this dragon, this tanin. And let me show you where we're going with this. Are you ready? I'm just trying to make sure I get all these points. Just I don't want to miss anything. Are you ready? I'm excited for you. What is this dragon? Here you go. The great dragon that lieth in the midst of the rivers. Now watch. Isaiah 27:1. Guys, see if you know where I'm going with this. In that day, the Lord Jehovah, with his sword and great and strong sword, shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent, even Leviathan, that crooked serpent. He shall slay the dragon. So the dragon is the serpent that is in the sea. And who is Pharaoh? The dragon in the midst of the rivers. And who's the dragon? The piercing serpent, the crooked serpent. Okay, but wait. Psalm 74, 13 and 14. How many heads does this serpent dragon have? Psalm 74, 13 and 14. Thou didst divide the sea by thy strength. Thou breakest, you broke the heads of the dragons, or dragon in the waters. Thou breakest the heads of Leviathan. The dragon has many heads. Leviathan, who's the dragon, who's the piercing crooked serpent, has many heads and pieces, and gavest him to be meat to the people inhabiting the wilderness. Does that sound like familiar? The serpent, the piercing serpent, the crooked serpent, the dragon with many heads, Leviathan in the sea, in the rivers. Revelation 12, verses 7 to 9, and Revelation 13, verse 1. Watch here now. Looks where we're going with this. And war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought, but they did not prevail, nor was a peace found for them in heaven any longer. Place. So the great dragon, wait, what was Pharaoh in Ezekiel 29:3? Wasn't Pharaoh the great dragon? But here, Revelation 12:9, so the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world, who is cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So Satan, the devil, the serpent of old, is the great dragon. But how many heads does he have? And where does he come out of? Revelation 12, verse 3 to 4. And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 diadems on his head. Wait. Psalm 74, 13 and 14 says, the dragon's heads, Leviathan's heads that God crushes. Who's the dragon? Who's Leviathan? Who's that great dragon? The serpent, crooked serpent, piercing serpent in the sea, in the rivers. And who is Pharaoh? The great dragon. But according to Revelation, the great dragon is Satan. Revelation 13, verse 1. Then I stood on the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his heads a blasphemous name. Oh, so the great dragon, the serpent of old, is Satan the devil, and he raises up human agents, human kings, human authorities that he empowers and works through to destroy the people of God. One of whom was Pharaoh. Like the beast of Revelation 13, who's a human ruler, is empowered by the dragon. So he is like the dragon and is a dragon and a serpent and a beast. So was Pharaoh. In other words, the Pharaoh of the new Exodus is Satan. And Jesus has set you free from bondage to Satan, and he set you free from Satan's Egypt. Now the question is, what is Satan's Egypt? What is the Egypt of this Pharaoh called Satan? Are you ready for that? Are you ready for me to move to the next point? Because we're going to be wrapping things up. I've covered everything that I think I needed to cover. It's the world you live in. 1 John 5:19. We know that we are of God, and the whole world lies under the sway of the wicked one. Egypt is this world that you live in. That's your Egypt. So when you became a believer, you escaped the world and its ruler, Satan. And as long as you're living in the world, this is your wilderness. As you await Joshua, Jesus, to bring you into heavenly Jerusalem, or he comes down in your lifetime. This is why you're told in 1 John 2:15-17, 1 John 2:15-17, do not love the world or the things in the world. For if anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, your arrogance, your conceit, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world is passing away, and the lust of it is going to pass away, it will be destroyed. But he who does the will of God abides forever. You are in the wilderness now when you became a follower of Jesus and escaped the ruler of this world, Satan, and his human governments and his human agenda, the human agenda that he is imposed through his human agents, which is actually a satanic Luciferian agenda. You are now standing against this Pharaoh, against his magicians, against his human authorities, against these human governments empowered by Satan, against this human agenda that's actually a satanic agenda. And you're in the wilderness trusting Jesus to preserve you and feed you. But like the Israelites in the wilderness, be careful lest you fall back into the idolatry of the world and the lust of the world. And like them who are destroyed in the wilderness, God destroys you now and strikes you dead now, and you fail to enter into heavenly Canaan.